Committee meeting for Thursday, April 27th. The roll call, Ed Rankin,
Here.
Paul Bissonnette,
Here.
and Mark Eastman's here. We'll skip 2 for now and go on to 3. A request for installation of air filtration system at Senior Center.
We received, the Age and Ability Friendly Committee, which used to be called the Senior Resource Committee, that we have an MOU with for, sort of keeping our Age and Ability Friendly Action Plan up to date, had requested that we look at what an air filtration system would cost for the senior center, with the idea that the people who utilize that center are generally older, more susceptible to illness, et cetera, and that a lot of places, schools and medical facilities and others were installing filtration systems to try and reduce the incidence of illness. And so I asked Eris to come and do an evaluation of that facility, which is really just the big room and the little ante-room that's sort of in front of it, you know, the dining room, and then where the puzzles and knitting and stuff is. And they did that, and that is the estimate that's kind of getting passed around here to see what it is. And I said I would include it to look at as far as a capital project if the council was interested in something like that, and was asked recently if it could be moved up in terms of looking at whether or not that was something that should be done, and funded from ARPA monies. And so that's why it's on your agenda this evening instead of as part of the capital improvement budget. That would mean that even if it was adopted, you wouldn't be doing anything with it till after July 1st.
Any
How much
comments?
are they looking for?
It's here. It's a total of $6,857.
68,000?
No, 6,800.
It's like, damn, that's a good filtration.
What's the discount on there? Is that just because it's a...
Municipal installation. But the only questions that remain are that installations can't be something that structurally changes, that we don't own that facility, we rent that facility. So if there was anything that needed to be, when we did the heat pumps, remember we had to get permission from Stanford Management in order to do that because they were installed as part of that. So I'm not sure if these are sort of standalone. I don't think they're a portable thing. I think it's a system that's designed to, talks about what percent of stuff it takes out of the air in terms of, how's that for technical? In terms of illness causing things. So that's the request, and that because, you know, they have activities there, they do have meals there, those that aren't delivered, and that kind of thing.
Is this the only outfit that does this? I mean, should we put out an RFP, or is this
It's the one that's regional. I mean, it's in Brewers, where I confess to Googling to find entities, and I'm sure that there are those outside of this region. If you want to, you know, do a bid system, that would certainly be
I don't know.
fine as well.
I don't come into this that often, but I didn't know if Air and Water Quality out of Ellsworth, if they did anything with that.
I don't know.
They do
You
a lot
can
of
certainly, you know, this is a
I thought a lot of heating companies did air filtration as well, but I was just assuming it. I don't know that.
I can ask Rod Chafee. He lives here locally, and I work with him a lot. I can ask him if I mean, I'm not opposed to doing this, but it wouldn't be the worst idea to see
No,
if there's
certainly putting
anything.
out a bid would be
Hmm.
fair. This was a way to get an idea of, are we talking 6,800, 68,000? No, that,
Is this a HEPA system, or do you know?
what?
HEPA, however you wanna pronounce it?
Sure. I don't really know either.
I don't know the answer.
I'd
The-
assume it would be, but I don't know.
I mean, there's no details really to that, but, I'm happy to reach out to Rod Chafee and see if they do anything and see if he's willing to provide anything. Or is there a different way to go about it, so?
Well, this would require referral to the council to take this out of the normal
Okay.
budget process that we do, which is what we'd be doing, and if you did that, then you would,
So this is for
Put it out
water
to bid.
treatment.
Well, that's what it says,
it's
Peter,
air.
but it's air
It's
treatment.
air. I know, but it's air, it's not water.
Cause it's town water, there'd be no reason to,
No, it's air.
I mean, personally, I'd like to see something a little more with some
Formal.
explanation to
Yeah.
it that just doesn't come from
yeah.
it's not even spelled out right what we're.
And there may be a company here in Bucksport that does it, I'm not aware of. Osborne's might do it, I don't know.
Yeah, they very well may at this point, I mean, it's hard to say, but I'm not opposed to moving it to the council if everybody else is, but it wouldn't be the worst thing to get.
Is
See if
that
there's other
something,
quotes.
I'm sorry, is that something that we requested be done, or was it something that somebody approached us and said they do this, you know, do we need it done?
No, this is something that the Senior Resource Committee, requested that the town consider for the senior center. That's where the request came from.
Okay.
And this would be unacceptable under ARPA money, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got no issue.
I have no issue going forward, but I think we should get some more information.
Yeah, I would agree.
Local companies, somebody to put us in the right direction.
What do you need for that?
Do you need anything, Sue, or just a consensus?
So you're gonna forward to the council the idea of,
Pursuing more numbers on a system.
What actually we're looking at.
Yeah. I like that, so,
Yeah, we need information, because
I mean, a formal proposal of actually what we're buying and what,
Like a picture.
yes.
if you do have a HEPA, I'm gonna go with HEPA system, and that's $500 more than a non-HEPA system, I would say spend the $500. So
agree.
I'd like to see it side by side.
Yeah, because that's the reason for doing this, is to keep people safe. All right.
But I think to the first point, to Sue's point, is we gotta make sure we can even install this too, right? So I don't know if you wanna just have that conversation to make sure we're not wasting time, that if there's something we can't put in there.
Sure.
Is there, everyone I've seen is a good size unit. It requires a
Is it
lot
similar to like an air handler and a, like a
Yeah, but
modular?
there's gonna be ductwork and intakes and out,
Yeah.
exhaust and.
Yeah,
That's why I say this price doesn't,
doesn't identify much of anything.
I just don't know if that includes it all, because that's fairly cheap.
Oh.
this is,
they said more.
the,
So this is just a standing unit type thing, cause that's why they have two of them listed, so,
To cover the square footage.
yeah.
that's one of the attachments, and this is what it does, how it works. HEPA activated carbon filters.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, happen there.
so those aren't ductwork included, those are just basically put in
Yes.
the room and,
So they wouldn't require any modifications? I don't
Doesn't
believe.
look
Oh, okay.
those are the, make you feel good, and I don't know if they do a whole lot, but
Like a huge dehumidifier.
pretty much.
Right.
So,
It says it destroys over 99% of all surface and airborne contaminants. Contaminants.
It's the 1% that will get you.
every time.
But those sharper ends want to say that 99%.
Anyways, this is some additional information I'll forward to you as well, but
What brought them to think they needed this today? Was there people getting sick, or were people getting lethargic? What happened?
No, we're not, I mean, we're doing this in the schools, right? I mean, this is kind of,
schools, other areas, the rise in the installation of air filtration systems is due to the COVID, is due to the COVID pandemic, in that, they're requiring schools to have these filtration systems, they're requiring certain kinds of facilities to have them in order to try and eliminate more, the chance that people will get sick. And that's why I'm not a scientist, but that's why there's a large rise in them, and it's related to COVID.
Good.
Because prior to that, schools weren't required to have these
Right.
filtration systems, and, you know, that, none of that was. And there is a letter here, from Bucksport Bay Healthy Communities that, I think you all got, or if you didn't, you should have, that is in support of the idea of installing filtration systems in that facility.
I think we gotta be clear though, is it a filtration system or is it a, standalone
Ionic
right?
air.
Yep.
Cause there's a huge difference and that's where the cost jumps in. If you're putting in a full filtration system, then you've got the piping and everything else.
because you're doing that at the academy, right? You've had to? or-
Yeah, yeah.
Because I know an exhaust fan,
Yeah.
Steve can tell you as well, just one exhaust, granted, those are explosion proof, but last one I checked was more than that whole quote
Yeah, we're ballpark
for
on that.
one fan.
Not installed.
And they're talking
Right.
a whole system here,
Right.
so.
Yeah, we wanna make sure it's, if we're doing it, it has
Some benefits.
Yeah. The other item is the ATV. Do we just table that for now? And
Have you talked to Joe at all or?
I haven't talked to Joe before this meeting, so
But he
I
knew
think-
last meeting when we were here, we set this up.
we set this up, right? Yeah, I should have called him today. I apologize for not having him here. Did we? So we didn't talk anything about it.
no, we skipped over it in hopes that he might.
Dave might show up. Okay. I know he's done some work with the state, but I'm not quite trying to figure out trails, and I'm not quite sure where he's at, so I wouldn't have an accurate update for you. Maybe we get in touch with him and see if we can get on the next meeting.
This is more of a long-term thing for him, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it would need to know if we even want to consider it, so it would require ordinances, maybe some sort of public gatherings of, on-road, you know, have the police, have fire, have everyone that could potentially be involved with traffic and, anything that potentially could go on town property, or say, hey, we don't even want it on town property, you know, wherever we want to go at that point, or hey, we don't want ATVs at all. At least having some sort of guidance on maybe where to go, because in order for him to get trails, he's gonna have to get landowner permission
Yeah.
from all of them. The biggest landowners, most likely CMPs, what I'm thinking at this point, because the rail, those aren't going up anytime soon.
Yeah.
So it would have to be something out back, potentially, like you mentioned, if he has a conversation with Mr. Wardwell, out at the end of the industrial park and branch off.
Another, property owner in that area called and asked what role the town was playing in this. He, you know, the snowmobile trails used the property, but he was unsure what something like this would look like. And I told him that right now the town had no role,
Yeah.
that
It's all private property has to be landowner approved, so, I mean, we can't force landowners to,
Correct, no.
to do anything,
We
so.
can help with conversations, we can help maybe get the ATV club and the snowmobile club working together. More hands make better trails for this off-season for snowmobiling and for ATVs. I know volunteers are hard to come by anyway, so again, more hands might be better, but at the end of the day, it's
There's a
probably
lot
just-
of conversation that needs to take place.
Yes,
And
it does.
Joe needs to understand that if he comes here, he's probably gonna leave with more questions than he came with, and, you know, and that's okay. Maybe that gives him a framework to work with, but,
Yep, I tasked him with meeting with property owners, meeting with the snowmobile club, because there was a conversation of, is there a place where we can potentially have a clubhouse? So, that was a lot of it, because he can talk to Chief Winchester or Public Safety Director Gagan and find out their opinions on what their thoughts are on the street. But at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to landowners.
Yep, definitely. All right, well,
if you get a chance, Rich, maybe reach out to him and say, I mean, I think if we schedule it for the 11th, not the 11th, is the 11th, the 11th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Well, if we're gonna move past that, then the other is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? Motion passes.